Good afternoon. My name is Lorena, and with my partner Sebastian, Amparo, and Stephanie, we want to welcome you. Before start with our interview, I think that it's so important to understand the context of translation in this case. So let's start. As you know, we are in the technological age where translation professionals have to face different issues in the different contexts that actually exist. One of the fields that actually has the highest demand in the market is video games translation and video games industry, obviously. So for that reason, during this interview, we have the purpose of get a better understanding of the video game localization field and grasp the different challenges that the translator has to face at the time of adapt interactive audiovisual content for different ages and cultures. So, taking into account all above, please welcome Alejandro Cifuentes, our guest translator who will answer certain questions to fulfill our aforementioned goal.
Well, we are here with Alejandro. He's our translator chosen for the interview. Alejandro, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we'll start with the first question. Well, a translator, aside from experience, has to get a certain training in order to achieve the necessary cultural and communicative skills. However, with the development of new technologies, it's necessary to keep up with the constant innovation. What kind of training do you partake in to continue to improve your skills?
Well, this is a daily job, right? I've been writing, I've been translating from English to Spanish since I was at the college. But I've been working with Porter Novelty Agency and with two clients, PlayStation and Disney Parks, for the last 5 years. I've been working with Disney Parks the last week, so this is my new job with them. But what kind of training? No, I don't. I think that my favorite training is to read. I like to read a lot. I don't know if there are any applications for improve the translating skills, right? But my daily a way to train is doing that, reading a lot, watching TV, going to the movies, and learning, because I work with video games, and I work with now I'm working with movies and Disney characters. I have to know, I have to have a good acknowledgement of those kind of things that are my daily job. So the way that I train is read a lot and writing.
Okay.
So, continuing with the second question, recently we have seen how cultural appropriation and appreciation has become a big issue in the Anglo-Saxon media. After all, I've seen that many Americans have noticed that when it comes to representing other people's traditions, many of those people do not understand the cultural background and do not represent them correctly. So, as a result, end up fetishizing their customs or beliefs. Like, for example, Americans usually have the image that Mexicans are always drinking tequila and have sombreros. But do you think you excuse me, do you take into account cultural appropriation and appreciation when translating?
Not usually. Well, I repeat, I work with video games, so maybe I don't find very easy um, costumes or beliefs when I have to localize something like God of War, Gran Turismo 5. This content usually or maybe never focus on that kind of stuff, right? We don't never talk about the players, but we do talk about the games. So I don't have problem with that. Maybe in Disney parks I will, because in Disney we do talk about the people that go to the parks, right? But so far I don't have the problem with PlayStation. And most of all, we have to, when I have to localize, I have to be very careful with some kind of words because of the slang. Yeah. For example, for Colombia, chaqueta have a meaning, and in Mexico have a very, very different meaning. I don't know if you know what chaqueta means in Mexico. So we have to be very careful with those kind of words. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now we continue with this interview. With the constant technological advance of translations tools, have you seen the future of your profession? Do you believe that technological will be eventually overcome humans' translations?
Well, I don't know. The artificial intelligence is going faster right now. Yes. At this moment, the only technology that I can use is Google Translator. I have to use it. There are a lot of words that I don't know. Yes, but I translate the when I do a translation and localization, I always do it by myself, like the 98, 97%. But I always use Google Translator. This application helps me to have like a meaning of some parts of the translation, and most of all when I have to translate something from UK, yes, from United Kingdom, the English there is a little bit different from the United States. So I don't know if in the future the technologies are going to replace us as a translator or localizators, but so far I think that that won't happen, because because you know how to understand what you are translating, right? I think that the machines can do it at this point. You have the power to interpret what you are reading and what you are writing for the people that are going to read you after the translation or after the localization. So I don't think in the long term, I don't know, but at this point, I don't think that any machine can do that.
Okay.
Okay, really important point.
How is the localization process from start to finish? I mean, what are the main tools for the localization team that they must have in order to fulfill their job properly?
Well, I don't know about. We have a process, a process at the beginning when I started to work with the agency. Yeah, we had this meeting with the people from PlayStation in San Francisco. They have the headquarters for PlayStation, so the entire team went there. We met with the people that write that create the blog post, and they gave us at that time like the guidelines that we have to follow to do a good translation, a good localization. There were the team leader for Latam, the team leader for Brazil, the team leader for Spain, from France, from Japan, and from Asia. Yeah, and the guidelines are almost the same for all the regions, and the process began at that point when we got that guidelines that tell me how can I translate, how should I translate those copies. I have to be very careful with the slang. I have to be very careful with some words. I can translate literally things like excitement. Yeah, I can't do that. I can translate things like fans. I can't. For example, I can write fanáticos. I have to write fans, because the connotation here in Latin America, a fanático is maybe a crazy person. Yes.
Yes.
So the process begins with that. a guideline that they gave it to me, and learn. With time, I have learned what words can I use, what words I can't use. What else? Yeah, I think that is that. The first thing that they gave you is the guidelines, and after that, they sometimes they check what I do, and I have to do the social media also for PlayStation Latin America. So if you follow PlayStation Latam in Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, let me know what do you think about it.
Okay.
So the process is that I think that is a very easy process, and the it's better if you know about video games. Yes, it's better when you are translating something, when you are localizing something. It's better that you know or you have some expertise on that subject, on that theme. It's easier for you to use the proper words and the proper sentences to communicate that idea from English to Spanish.
Okay, but does this process rely heavily on technology? I mean, not only the translation, but the whole process of localizing and starting to sell the game in shelves in Latin America.
I don't understand the question. Please repeat it.
Our question is related to the whole process of localization, not only the translation, but I mean the programming and all that. Does it rely heavily on technology?
No, no. Uh, uh, we have tools. We use tools for fulfill our job. Yes, we have to publish everything in WordPress. I don't know if you know what is WordPress. That's the only tool that we have, and we have some like drive spaces in cloud for upload and download the big assets that they gave us to us. If you are taking tools as I am talking about, those are the only tools that I have. Yes, I don't have any machine. I only use my computer, my internet connection, the translator, Google Translator, and that's it. I don't have to use anything else. That's the only thing that I use to fulfill my daily job. Nothing else.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, enter in your topic, in your branch. I'm going to speak about video games. You know that video games have a massive public, all age, the oldest one and the earliest one. So, what factors must be taken into account when it's translating to a specific public, such as children or teenagers?
For video games, we use a general words. Yes, we are very general in our communications. The only way to censor the content that we send, we use the tools that, for example, Facebook provide us when you have to geo-target the publication. Yes, or when YouTube we have to geo hashtag it a video for other people. That's the only way that we try to focus the content that we create. The 98% of content that we publish are for all audiences, but for example, things like Call of Duty, like Mortal Kombat, where you have a content with explicit guns, explicit blood, maybe some bad words. Yes, we have to localize that. We have to age gated that. So when the people try to access this content, we support it on the tools that the media gave us, if the person that tried to access to it is in 18 years older, 18 years or older, he can see these videos or read the article.
Okay, I will proceed with the last question. Okay, so many video game companies are from countries like Japan and the USA, and they have proven that to be extremely popular with titles like Mario Bros. And GTA. What do you think is the impact of those cultures in Latin America?
Well, at this time it's very important. You know that we are receiving in America. We are receiving more and more Asian and Japan content. Because I don't know, maybe because of the growing popularity of media like anime, manga, all that stuff, and because they have a lot of content, important content, that because of the localization of of how expensive it is very expensive to localize a video game that lasts almost 200, 300 hours. Localize those contents, which almost are we're talking about 2,000, 3,000 pages of dialogues. It is very expensive to localize that. It was very expensive to localize that 20 years ago, but at this time, those contents are very. The people want to play them. Yes, games like Persona, like Persona 5, like Yakuza, like Dragon Ball, like all those games are arriving, are going to be available easier in Latin America and America because of the big popularity that those contents from Asia and Japan have now in this part of the world.
Okay, thank you, Alejandro. Invest with my group. I really appreciate your time with us, explaining your profession, taking the time to explain how the process works. And for now, I think that this the end of this interview. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Okay.
No, thank you guys, and I hope I help you. I hope you understand me, because as I said to Stephanie, I don't usually speak in English. I'm more focusing writing than in speaking. So I hope you guys understood me, and if you need it, we can do it again, this interview later. Well, maybe tomorrow. No, I don't know, but not today.
No, it was perfect.
Okay.
Don't worry
Yeah?
about it. Thank you so much for your
You
time.
really understand me?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
and your answers.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.